Millennials get a bad rap. We all know they do. Many of you guys watching my videos, according to YouTube analytics, are indeed millennials as well. So how is it that some millennials never move out of their parents' basements? Meanwhile, there's people like Brittany Evans that have such a passion for the environment. They launch a massive glass recycling plant right out of college to help end problems she saw in her area. My first question when hearing something like this is, how does a 20-something-year-old go from an idea like that to actually getting the resources in place to build a recycling plant just out of college? What's going on, everyone? My name is Matthew Osborne. I'm happy you're joining me today because we are about to figure out how Brittany Evans went from a regular college student to starting one of the most unique businesses I've heard of. This interview is from a podcast I started back in 2016 called The Young and Elite, where I interviewed successful entrepreneurs under the age of 30 to figure out the things they were doing that led to their success so early on in life, and then figure out how we can take those same principles and apply them to our lives. If this sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe below to be updated when future episodes go live. Now, it's one thing to hear about someone starting a marketing business or a web design business right out of college. Those businesses don't take much capital to start, and you can acquire those skills needed through YouTube videos, YouTube searches, whatever you want. But for me, it's an entirely different thing to hear about someone starting a recycling plant right out of college. Just thinking about all the resources, capital, and things this venture takes. Today we're going to figure out exactly how Brittany did that and some of the tools she used that we can also implement in our lives and businesses.
Young and Elite, Episode 6.
Welcome to the Young and Elite Podcast, where your host, Matt Osborne, interviews the world's most elite entrepreneurs under the age of 30. Learn how to become self-employed, gain financial freedom, and live a life on your terms while you're still young. If you want to join the ranks of the Young and Elite, keep listening because it all starts now.
What's up? Matthew Osborne here to bring you another interview with a young and elite entrepreneur. Today our guest is joining us from beautiful Denver, Colorado. Brittany, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you, Matthew.
So, Brittany Evans is the founder and president of Clear Intentions, a company that diverts glass from landfills and instead converts it to high-quality crushed glass that can be used to manufacture multiple products. Brittany created an awesome team and culture within her business that not only allows her company to grow rapidly, but to please its customers in the process. Brittany's company has set up multiple glass recycling programs and was recognized in the 2016 Millennial Week Awards. Brittany, tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
So, I am the president and founder of Clear Intentions, obviously, and what we do is we end up taking recycled glass from the community and helping to pull glass out of the waste stream and out of the single stream recycling system so that we can recycle it 100%. And I'm actually a very passionate environmentalist and obviously entrepreneur as well. So I was trying to find a win-win situation when I had started this company. And glass was one of those things that's very problematic in the industry of recycling. And yet it's one of the most amazing materials because it's infinitely recyclable. So my goal was to try and help create a closed loop system, which is what Clear Intentions now does. So we help to set up glass recycling programs, turn that glass into a sand-like material, and sell that back into the economy to make new products.
That is great. So a lot of people may have an idea like that. They have they want to help the environment in some way. They have an idea of how they can do that, such as helping with recycling, like you had said, maybe recycling glass. But how do you take that idea and actually make a business out of it? The idea itself sounds great, but I would have no idea personally where to even start with that idea of how I'm making a business with that. So walk us through how you started your current business. How did that all begin?
Oh, lots of research and development. I was in college when I started this, and I was very fortunate to see the resources that I could use at my fingertips. And I think that's the first thing is after you find this passion for something, for an idea that you have, it's looking around you and seeing what kind of resources you have to really get a foundation under you. You know, how do you create that foundation? What do you need to make this idea into a reality? And looking at it realistically and having other people who are experienced looking at it realistically with you. And allowing them to kind of put you through the ringer so that you can build that foundation and take the time to research and develop. I think a lot of people take their idea, and they just jump into it without really thinking about it. And then it becomes very difficult to sustain the beginning process of a business because you're not only learning the foundation, but you're trying to build on top of a foundation as well. And when I say foundation, I'm talking, your business plan, your market, your environment, what things do you need to make your company a true success? And the environment is extremely important. Knowing your target market, knowing your product, knowing exactly where you're going to fit into the industry. And I can't stress enough how important that was for my company and us getting started. And so I actually took almost 6 years to do research and development, and I constantly was recruiting other students who were passionate about the environment to help me. And then I went to all my mentors and teachers and asked them lots of questions, and then they would get involved and, really help me to look at things realistically. And, it was amazing how many times I had to go back to the whiteboard, and re-look at things again and again and again.
Definitely.
So it just takes a lot of research and development.
So in this 6-year process that you were doing all this research and development, did you start the business during that time and slowly start kind of ramping it up? Or is this all research, 6 years of research before you even started initially?
Yeah, it was it was 5 years of research and development strictly. And then in my 6th year is when I actually launched the company and was still doing some research and development. So it was not a dual process for me. I had to, because I'm in manufacturing, it's not a slow ramp up phase. You have to get a lot of capital to get into manufacturing. And that's one of the barriers to entry is that entrepreneurs don't get into manufacturing because it is just so expensive and you have to really know what you're doing. So for my industry in particular, it wasn't something I could just slowly ramp up. It was something that I had to dive into and know exactly what I was doing. So it was 5 years of strict research and development and business plan competitions that I participated in.
So is that what initially drove that capital for you, is doing those competitions, putting that business plan out there and having people see it and then hopefully invest in it after you maybe got higher in the competition or won the competition?
Yeah, definitely. That brought a lot of attention. But actually the biggest key was my mentors. And my mentors that I went to, who I asked lots of questions from, and this is the key to talking to experienced people and asking for their mentorship and not expecting anything in return, exception of their experience. When I ended up launching the company, I actually was the first investor. I took money that I had saved from my college funds that I didn't have to spend because I got scholarships to support me through college. I ended up going and purchasing equipment with the money I had saved. And then all of my mentors saw that, and I had won a business plan competition. And so all of a sudden it was the right time, and they had been helping me for years. They knew I wasn't going to give up. And all of a sudden they all said that they wanted to back me. So it was very critical for me. I actually didn't have strangers coming into the picture. It was actually mentors who had helped me for years. And they ended up jumping in and backing me because they saw how much drive I had for this and that I wasn't going to give up.
Yeah, I admire your drive. I'm very much of a impulsive person when it comes to sometimes starting businesses. And once I have the idea, I want to do it. Waiting 5 years and doing that research, I applaud you for that. That's very difficult to do. I'm sure you really wanted to get out there and just start it during that time. But I really like what you're saying about getting capital that way, is that you didn't have to go out and cold call people and didn't have to try and do presentations and sell them on your idea. You'd been selling them on your idea from the very beginning, just slowly. And so as they developed it with you, those mentors, and then after they'd been developed and everything, they knew the process, they knew you, they knew everything about it, and so they're a lot more willing to invest their money into it. That's just an amazing way for young entrepreneurs to get that capital if they need. Is maybe it takes a little bit longer, but it's a great way to slowly ramp up like that until you launch and get the capital that way.
Yeah.
So how did you first start making revenue in your business? Then recycling, it's people throwing away bottles, throwing away glass. How do you make money from the garbage people are throwing away?
Yeah, the first part was, the core. Well, I'll start with the core. The core of the company and the revenue is actually turning a material back into a usable material for other manufacturers. So when I collect the glass and I turn it into a purified sand-like material, that is supply for bottle manufacturers and many other manufacturers who make other products with it, such as house insulation or artistic, pieces, sand. There's lots of different things that people use my product for. And so that's why I am in manufacturing, is because I'm actually turning that into a supply for other people to make their final product with. And so that's the core of the company, and that's how we make revenue, is by selling that product. And the other way we make revenue is by I started our own collection programs and services, which was actually never part of the plan.
Really?
Yeah, I was never expecting to have to do that. And that came about because I really actually couldn't find people who were willing to do the right programs to collect glass only from other recyclables. And what happens is that once glass enters into the recycling stream with other materials in the same bin, it gets so contaminated and it gets crushed in the process of the trucks collecting it and compacting it and then taking it to a facility where it gets separated, that you really can't separate the glass from all these other materials as well as people would like to think. And it takes out 25% of all the other materials as well with the glass. And other people just can't clean that up. So processors like myself, it's very expensive to clean that up. And at best, you're looking at about 40% of the glass being saved. And then the rest has to go to the landfill. And right now in Colorado, it's all going to the landfill, being used as landfill cover, which is a really big bummer. And so I couldn't find anyone to do only recycling programs. So I actually had to launch a second part of my company to collect the supply that I needed. So it was quite a challenge. But we did it. And we did it in a way where we do get paid to come pick up the glass, but it's still cheaper than the other recycling or waste that they pay for. And so my goal is to actually save our clients money. And so that was another revenue stream that just helped us to cover the hauling side of the expenses.
So I assume after you set up all those, their bins you're setting up at different locations, correct? And people come and dump their glass into them, right?
Yes, so that's one program. That's a public program. And then we have a second program, which is for businesses. So that's bars, event centers, apartment complexes, you name it. Anyone who has a glass waste stream, we also service them as well.
So that increases your revenue by itself then, because you don't have to pay for someone else to go store it for you or go find it for you and bring it to you. You can actually just go and pick it up yourself. So yeah, that's an awesome way to increase your revenue with that second business. So when did that second business, or the second part of your business, I should say, start? Was that right after you found that need and then you decided to fill that need, or was that a little while after you had launched?
Yes, no, that was pretty immediate because that was our supply. So that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, how many employees do you have right now?
So I have about 6 employees, but I have temp workers as well. So on any given day, they come in and help us sort and do things in the warehouse. And so 6 full-time employees, and then we might have an additional 6 on site helping us in the warehouse.
Wow, sounds like a pretty nice operation there. So I take it when you're doing this research through college, did you have a job while you're in college, or you're working as well in addition to doing all this research to start up this business?
I didn't actually, no.
Didn't. So did you go straight from college right after you graduated to launching this business?
I did. I was actually in my last year of college when I launched the company.
Wow, okay. So you had that capital built up, and then right after you graduated, you had enough revenue, or at least revenue or capital built up, that you were able to start the business, and you went full-time to being self-employed, right?
Correct. Yes.
Wow, that's a pretty amazing transition.
Yeah, I hit the ground running. That is for sure.
Definitely. You haven't stopped yet.
No, I haven't.
So, what would your best piece of advice be then for someone that wants to do what you do? They have a heart for the environment, they have a heart for helping, but they're also an entrepreneur and they want to start a business. What's your advice to them?
I would say my advice to them would be do your research. I know too many people who don't do the research and they get into the middle of their project and they are just overwhelmed because they didn't have the foundation under them. And then the second piece of advice I would have is buckle down. Don't listen to people who are trying to get you out and go partying and do all these things. There's a great part about having a social life, but you really need to buckle down in the beginning of your company and realize that your sleep is extremely important and your health is extremely important. And nobody told me that when I started. And I had to learn the hard way. And I had a lot of people who were like, oh, just, come out and stop being so serious or whatever it was. And I'm so grateful that I had the strength to say, no, I'm sorry. I have to wake up early in the morning. I have to work 7 days this week and I need to feel good and I need to be on my A game. And you can't be on your A game if you are constantly going out, partying with friends, and not taking it seriously. And I think that's a huge part is realizing what it means to buckle down and take care of yourself. Be good to yourself.
Is all that work worth it now?
It is, I would say. I mean, I'm still in it pretty hard, but it is. We just won the Small Business of the Year award, and we also won the Recycler of the Year award this year as well from the state. And
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was very humbling. It was very humbling because as an entrepreneur, you're so in the grind of the moment that sometimes it's hard to step back and see just how much your work has paid off. And it takes other people to say to you, oh my gosh, look at how far you've come. Definitely. And those are the moments where you can step back and be very grateful for all the sleepless nights that you've had, not because you were out, having fun with friends, but because you were up on your business or you were up super early in the morning because of your company, or you worked 7 days a week for, months on end for your company. And you can say, wow, it was worth it. I'm so glad that I did it.
Definitely. So what are your dreams for your business right now? What are you looking to just expand locally? Is this something you want to take nationally eventually? What are your dreams for the future look like?
Yeah, I think I would love to see this go national. I think that it's a very high need. The industry is having a very hard time with glass in general and throughout the nation. And I think Clear Intentions can be an asset to the recycling industry and the waste industry. And I think that we have a lot of really neat differences about us versus other companies that are similar to us or our competitors that I think, we have a unique niche, and we're young. We're all young millennials actually in the company.
Really?
So, yeah, we're a pretty young team, and we reach out to people. We know how to connect to our generation and other generations obviously too, but we just bring a different flair, and I would love to see the company go national.
What is one habit the Young and Elite listeners should implement into their lives? What's a habit that's helped you out?
Diet.
Diet.
People put that on the back burner, and that is not a smart idea. Your nutrition is extremely important because it's like anything else. You put gas in your car, that's going to make it run well. If you keep the oil, good in your car, it's going to help it run well. Your food is no different. So you really should cut out the junk food and eat healthy, cook your meals, eat whole foods, eat your veggies. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. It helps keep you on your A game. It helps keep you sleeping well at nighttime. And I think that's incredibly important.
No, I couldn't agree more with you. I see it all the time where entrepreneurs, they have that in the grind, always got to work type of mentality, which is great, but not when it comes to the cost of sacrificing your health, your diet, your sleep, because in the long run, that's actually going to set you back further than if you had taken care of your body, if you had exercised right, if you'd had that diet in the first place. And so I completely agree. Diet and fitness and getting some sleep is just as important. You still need to work hard. You still need to get in that grind and work, but you also need the time for your body to rest and for yourself to recover. No, it's great advice.
Definitely.
So here's an analogy for you. I like this analogy because it's a place that a lot of our listeners are probably in, where they want to start a business. They're not quite sure how and they're not quite sure what, but they know they have a goal of becoming self-employed. So the analogy is that you're working full-time, but you want to become self-employed within the next year. What business would you start and how would you start it?
What business would I start and how would I start it? Ooh, that's tricky. That's tricky.
It is. It's a year time frame, so it's a little bit less.
Yeah, definitely, which obviously is not my case scenario. All right, the first thing would be what you're passionate about, because you have to be passionate. And I was actually just talking to my sister about this the other day because she had asked me a question about this. And she had two different ideas. And I would say the same thing to anyone else as I would say to her. And your passion, you're going to have to walk through fire no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, starting a business, you're going to have to do that. And if you have a year time frame, it's going to be more intense. And so you better be really passionate about this, where you can't stop thinking about it, because that's what's going to drive you through, and it's going to bring you to be able to walk through the fire time and time again to make that company happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I would really say it would have to be whatever you're passionate about. If it is technology, if it's apps, if it's clothing and retail, if it's a coffee shop or a juice shop, make sure you're passionate about it. It's not just this would be a cool idea. This has to be something that just lights you on fire. And how I would do it? Oh man, you got to pull on resources. I would definitely get the right team, because the team is critical. And I had to learn that over and over and over again. If you don't have the right team in place, you could have a B plan and a B team, and it's not going to go so well. You can have an A plan and a B team. It's not going to go so well. But if you have a B plan and an A team, you're going to take that thing to the stars. So
I love that.
I would say pulling together the right people, that is so critical, and what you need.
That kind of goes to what you were talking about a little bit earlier, too, about how when you started your business, one of the huge things was mentors and having those people that you can go to for advice that can also give you advice on your life. And I think that would be another thing that would be an amazing thing to have during that year, is finding mentors like you had said and you had done. I love the mentors that I have. They've helped me out so much, and I need to use them a lot more than I do. And so mentorship's another great thing that someone could use when they're starting a business in a shorter time frame. But yet, I love that advice you were giving. So it is time for the rapid fire round. I will ask you 6 questions in a rapid succession, and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
All right, let's go.
All right. What is one goal you are trying to reach right now?
Getting paid myself.
Getting paid yourself. Have you started paying yourself yet, or is that still a little down the road?
That is, it's kind of an on and off thing. There's moments that I get paid, and then there's moments I don't get paid. So I'd really like to get paid on a regular basis. That'd be nice.
That would be. What is your favorite app or software that you would recommend?
Dang, that's a tie. I would say Spotify. I love Spotify.
Oh,
it just
I love
keeps me
Spotify.
going every day. I'm a music junkie. If I'm in a bad mood, I can find some good music. They always give me some good music, new things to, listen to. I love it. The other thing would be my to-do list, because I always have.
Do you use an app for that, or is that?
And it's called To-Do.
Oh, it's called To-Do. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And it's, it helps me with my project management. It helps me stay on top of things. It definitely keeps my, scattered world of a million things to do in line.
Definitely. So what's your morning routine?
I'm pretty easy on myself in the morning in the sense of I'm a big believer in the ebb and flow of energy. So if you're feeling really crappy in the morning, I don't push myself to wake up at 6 o'clock a.m. every morning. I kind of let myself, wake up naturally. No, I have certain timelines that I definitely wake up, but that is something I do for myself, is let myself wake up so my mind can have the time to wake up. And I try to go work out in the morning. I typically have my tea or my really good drink in the morning, and always a coffee. There's always a coffee in there somewhere in the morning, whether it's early in the morning or late in the morning.
Always need that caffeine.
Yeah, but I try to drink my good drinks too, so that I'm staying on top of it, and then grabbing a good meal for the day. I plan out my meals for the day, and typically I start with my emails in the morning, because that's when I can really go through things, and I'm on it, and I can get answers out to people. And then I do turn my email off. I do not answer my email all day, every day. I put it aside and I work on my projects and stay focused on one thing at a time. And I try very hard in the morning to do the things that are more mathematical, that I can really focus in on and get done. I'm just more efficient in the morning, late morning, for math. So I try to focus on the things that I do well in the morning.
Great. So what is one book that you would recommend to the Young and Elite listeners?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a very good question. I would actually, I know a lot of people would give an entrepreneurial book, and I would actually say A Gradual Awakening. It's a meditation book.
Okay.
Meditation has really helped me stay on focus. And as an entrepreneur, you have a really bad monkey mind, meaning that you have a lot of things on your mind all the time, and quieting that down and allowing yourself to focus on one thing at a time and follow it through and get it done. That is huge. That is huge. So I would say a meditation book.
So here's another analogy for you. You're given $100,000. You can't spend it on your current business, and you can't start a new business with it. What would you buy?
Oh, can I invest it?
Sure.
I would invest it, actually. Okay, so I don't start a new company, but I invest it in another company. And I would say I would probably be a pretty heavy investor in sustainable technologies to help clean up the ocean. Would be a huge one for me. And probably in cars or into something like that, or even possibly nonprofits, and trying to help nonprofits really help save rainforests in places that are having a hard time.
All right, and so for the last question of the rapid fire round, is there any plug for your business that you would like to share with the Young and Elite listeners?
Oh, of course. Be world class. Recycle your glass.
All righty. All right, well, thank you for all the value that you shared today. I and the listeners greatly appreciate it. Remember to check out the show notes page at www.youngandelite.com to see all the resources and tips that Brittany shared today. And to close out this awesome interview, I have two last questions for you, Brittany. Who are you and how are you feeling?
I am Brittany Evans, and I'm feeling young and elite.
And that is the interview with Brittany Evans. More episodes just like this will be dropping every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. EST. Subscribe below to be notified when those episodes are released, and I hope to see you guys there.